Israeli attacks on Air Ramal district in Gaza. Israeli forces even bombed the Islamic University of Gaza. On the other hand, pro-Hamas groups have accused Israel of using white phosphorus over civilians. Remember, use of white phosphorus on civilians is a war crime. My colleague Gaurav Sawant is now joining me live from the Gaza border. Gaurav, bring us a ground report from where you are at the moment. We believe you're at the Gaza border. Ashutosh Mishra is also joining us at the moment. Over to you, Gaurav, first.
So we are right now in the city of Sderot and we've come right to the outskirts of the city. Remember, this was the first target of the Hamas terrorists when they attacked on Saturday. This is the road that I'm on right now. This is the road that those terrorists took, firing indiscriminately at hundreds of people. This is a city of 30,000 people. Right now, right behind me, you can see that the army is deployed here in large numbers. Every road to Sderot has been completely blockaded. The bombs that you hear going off in the backdrop, well, look at that. I want to show you these images for a moment. The thick plumes of smoke that you see rising over the horizon, the thick plume of smoke, that's Gaza being bombed by the Israeli Air Force, by rockets and artillery, precision artillery being used to take out Hamas targets on the other side. And the plumes of smoke that you see rising, that's Gaza, the Hamas terrorist training camp being bombed by the Israeli security forces. However, the situation here still remains tense because all of Sderot still hasn't been cleared. There are still pockets where apprehension is that there still could be some terrorists. So this area remains extremely unsafe for civilian movement. You know, Polemy, you'd recall this is a city of 30,000 people and the images that horrified the world were from Sderot. This is where terrorists came in their pickup trucks and their minivans and on motorcycles. This is the road that they took down all the way and went to the police station where I was reporting from about an hour ago. That police station was taken over by the terrorists and there was a massive hold-up with the Israeli forces at that police station. During that hold-up, several Israeli police personnel were killed in action and the Hamas terrorists were neutralized. But in all of Sderot, I mean, imagine if this is a city of 30,000 people, it still hasn't been cleared. Every house still hasn't been cleared and there are some pockets where terrorists still remain. That is the threat in Sderot even as you and I speak. And the distance from here to Gaza, as the crow flies, just about a kilometer, but by road just a couple of kilometers. And that is how the terrorists breached the fence at 3 different locations very close to Sderot and came in. So even now the security forces are taking no chances. While this entire locality, this part of it has been cleared, in the interiors there are still apprehensions that some Hamas terrorists could still be there. So more resources, more weapons, more soldiers being called in to neutralize whatever remains of those terrorists in here. Again, you heard this big bomb go off and I want to show you, can you see those thick plumes of smoke rising over the horizon? That is Gaza being bombed by the Israeli forces and we are barely a couple of kilometers from that location as Israel actually goes out to decimate the threat posed by Hamas. Polemy.
Absolutely. Gaurav is in fact at that location, which in fact was the road probably that was used by Hamas terrorists to infiltrate into Israeli territory. He's standing right there, possibly the closest a journalist has got to the Gaza border. Gaurav, tell us more about the offensive action that the Israeli forces are taking at the moment in order to neutralize the terrorists in Gaza.
The location where we are right now, the army is not very far from here. These, of course, is the outermost cordon, the ones that you see behind me. If you notice behind me, that is a military camp. We cannot go closer because we are forbidden from going closer at this point. It's not even safe tactically from military locations. But look at the number of military vehicles that you see right behind me. This will show you how operations are going on in a very big way here at Sderot. This is where all these soldiers are a part of a very major operation that's been carried out against Hamas terrorists. Now, this is the mobilization of the Israeli army that is taking place on ground zero. This is Israel preparing to decimate the threat posed by Hamas, not just in the interiors, not just in the areas behind me in Sderot, but also along the Gaza Strip. So what we've been told that air attacks are happening now, ground attacks perhaps could just be a matter of time. We are still not very sure about that, when those ground offensive takes place. But we are told it's only a matter of time before ground forces move in to completely decimate the Hamas threat.
And that's indicative of what you just showed us right now, Gaurav, about those military trucks that were moving in to the area where you're at the moment. It clearly shows that Israel is preparing for ground invasion.
Well, Israel is very clear. This is the biggest ever terror attack that's taken place on Israel. It's a small country, small population, and in a small country, when 1,200 people are massacred by terrorists, and each day more horrifying stories emerge of that massacre. Each day as security forces move into newer pockets, more kibbutz, more villages, more settlements where dead bodies are still being recovered. The horror is sinking in, or in some instances yet to sink in. So some of these officers I was speaking to right behind me, they were telling me, yes, they were shocked. Yes, they were taken by surprise, but it's almost like their Pearl Harbor moment. I spoke to a very senior officer on ground, one of the senior tactical commanders, and he said, this is our Pearl Harbor moment. We've been hit, we've been taken by surprise, but now we will bomb them and we will decimate them. There are no two ways about it. They don't care what anybody may think. They will decimate the Hamas. They will destroy the threat forever. That's the resolve. Their future generations will not face a threat posed by Hamas, is what this officer told me as he took his troops to the front lines here. So their troops are moving to the front lines very clearly, and they will be amongst perhaps the first soldiers who go in should there be a requirement. But their resolve is very steely. We've had conversations with them, of course, off camera. They're not authorized to speak on camera, but off camera, they're very clear. Instructions from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the leadership. Again, you can hear more bombs go off. That shows, these are artillery, precision artillery munition being used to pinpoint attacks, to carry out pinpoint attacks on the Hamas strongholds, whether it's homes of Mohammed Daif, the military commander of Hamas, or his father's home, or the training garrison, or other locations. All of them are being decimated even as we speak, Polumi.
Right, Gaurav, stay on with us. Ashutosh Mishra, my colleague, is also joining us live from Israel. Ashutosh, over to you. What is the ground situation where you're at the moment? I believe you're in Ashkelon. If you can tell us how the forces over there are trying to clear the area and the territory of any Hamas terrorists, as they're doing in Sderot.
Well, the first attempt is to clear the outpost, where, of course, as far as Ashkelon is concerned, most of these terrorists have been pushed away or neutralized. But the threat here is more than the ground, the ground forces of Hamas terror organization is the rocket. If I could just say, 20 minutes just ago, I heard an air siren alarm, and this is a constant threat here. Immediately, these locals in the house where I am, they immediately took me to the shelter, the bunker areas, because that was really a threat. And in fact, I could just take you to the background of the images of here. More than 1.5 feet long rocket which landed at this house and destroyed this entirely, which was 165 caliber, of course, a military grade rocket that landed in this house and destroyed everything. There you see more than 1 feet wall was totally penetrated, burned down everything. That's a massive destruction unleashing. In fact, even the adjoining houses, everything damaged. In fact, the family just cleaned this out here, and here immediately that they hear when the attack took place, immediately this entire family moved in from this place, and every such houses they have made a bunker. Now this house you see, that's a normal construction, but in every house what is mandatory is to have a bunker where you have a 30 iron sheet. So every room you have these kind of safe houses which are like mid of the house, but the 30 thick layer of iron wall. This is to protect, and immediately that family got us here. And if you see my bag, my equipment, apartments, everything like here. So that was the scary moment. So the threat continues to be for the people. In fact, the family which was sleeping here, now you can see, of course, they are terrified and living in this situation. This is just a new normal for the people living in the bordering areas, of Israel in Ashkelon. And that, I mean, look at the massive damage. Entire this area was burned down. Here what happens is every time siren come from this side, that's the northern side, this is exactly Gaza, barely few kilometers. This is the last point of the border area. The rocket comes here, then the Iron Dome retaliates, response, neutralizes most of the rockets. But then probably Hamas has sensed the capacity of Iron Dome, and immediately, because the number of rockets they fire are way more than the capacity of the Iron Dome, and that's precisely why these rockets are also falling in the residential areas, killing even the innocent civilians. The number of casualty exactly also rising from the Israeli side. So as far as ground troop operations are concerned, out of this, the Ashkelon, this area has been cleared. But the major threat in Ashkelon is the rocket attack, which is not stopping. If you heard, Israel said yesterday morning that they have a full control over Gaza. But even last night, there have been siren raid, there have been a rocket attack from day to late evening. And even this morning, I heard those air sirens, the people, locals who have been really being good helping hand despite being under the imminent threat. So, this is how the situation is. And every time you hear such siren or a loud noise, the heartbeat really goes up. For the people, it could be new normal. But for an outsider like me who have, a different perspective or perception about Israel, seeing these kind of loud noise, bomb, rockets, fighter jets, this is something, one can explain the plight of the people, the suffering of the people living at the border areas of Israel in the southern part. Follow me.
Right. Ashutosh there reporting from Ashkelon. Stay on with us. Back to Gaurav Sawant now, who is in fact at the Gaza border. Gaurav, because you've been speaking to your sources, you're speaking on the ground to those within the IDF. What are they telling you about allegations that the IDF is targeting innocent civilians in the Gaza Strip, that they're probably using white phosphorus against civilians?
These are officers of the Israeli army right behind me, and a little while back we saw more forces move into this area. This is an area where you see very heavy movement of the Israeli forces, and they say they have not, at least the officer we spoke to said they have not been using anything that is banned. They've been using 155mm howitzers, they've been using precision munition, they've been using all the munition that they're allowed to use in combat. But they're also very clear that when it comes to stopping food and water and gas supply to Gaza Strip, they're saying if you kill 1,200 of our people, it's not going to be picnic for those across. And it's for the people across to hunt out the Hamas and hand them over or face the consequences. Civilians have been asked to move back. So there is a steely resolve here as far as Israel is concerned, whether it's the security forces or the civilians, people at large. They're speaking in one voice, at least the people that we've been speaking to, they're speaking in one voice that Hamas terror has to be decimated whatever it takes, and that's exactly what they intend to do. If you see the mobilization, if you see the troop movement, if you see the deployment and the preparations, and also the targeting of the Hamas strongholds in Gaza Strip, the entire principle of war as far as they are concerned, one aim is decimation of Hamas, whatever it takes. The fence all along is being strengthened all over again so that there is no more breach. You can see the kind of movement that's taking place all along. We're actually at that junction where troops come in and troops go, clearing areas. So you see the army here, you see the police here, and all of their weapons are cocked. If you notice, such is the level of threat that their weapons are completely cocked, when they go in, because there still remain pockets where there are apprehensions that there are Hamas fighters and terrorists in this locality. So they cannot take any chances as they battle the enemy within and the enemy across. So, okay, I want to show you one more image as it happens. That's another plume of smoke. We heard the roar of the fighter jets just a short while back. And there, you can see there, that's the trail of the rocket. You can actually see that entire trail of the rocket. There. You see the Iron Dome system getting activated. You see that? That is how Israel is decimating the threat. That is how Israel is decimating the threat. You can see it right in front of you. Hear the roar for a moment. So this is how close to the real battlefield we are at this point of time. You heard the trajectory, you saw the trajectory of that howitzer, and you heard the boom across. This is how Israel is pulverizing the Hamas threat, the threat posed by Hamas. Now, what I have been told is that these are very precision munition is being used because they have pinpoint accuracy of where Hamas strongholds are. So, as the rocket flies, as the munition flies, see, you heard the other one. You can hear the bomb go off, and let me once attempt to show it to you. Let me once again attempt to show it to you. You can see it fly and fall, and that is the plume, the thick plume of smoke that's rising. Follow me. This is operations on ground as they happen, and these are still long distance weapons that are being used. Air to ground missiles are being fired, howitzers are being fired, precision munition is being used, troops on ground are ready. Look at these soldiers. We've missed that one shot. There were 4 soldiers on one side, all 4 with their weapons cocked. That's the level of threat in this locality where we are, right next to the Gaza Strip. And Israel is very clear. Small country, they will fight with what they have, and they say we will do whatever it takes to destroy the threat completely on ground. There you see more soldiers are now coming in. Let me also take you to this corner. This is where the soldiers are moving to the front. I will try and show you, though we are not allowed to go in that direction, but this is where the soldiers are headed. That's the way to the Gaza Strip. This vehicle is the final point to which where we can go, but beyond this, that is where the soldiers are absolutely headed. That's the situation on ground here at Sderot, right next to the Gaza Strip, follow me.
Right, so Gaurav Sawant is probably one of those few journalists who've gotten as close as possible to the action, the offensive that the Israeli Defense Forces have mounted against the Hamas in the Gaza Strip. He's just kilometers away, just a few kilometers away from the Gaza border itself, and he's showing you live images of that offensive action, the retaliatory action that the IDF is taking against Hamas. Gaurav, you did tell us about how the border fencing is being strengthened again, because that is where the incursion took place from. What more can you tell us? Because you may have been speaking to people on the ground as well, including those who are in authority as well. What are they telling you about how did this shock and awe operation by Hamas actually take place? The fencing, the border paraphernalia, the apparatus was said to be impenetrable, the Iron Dome system, and despite all of that, the intelligence apparatus of Israel, the famed intelligence apparatus of Israel, how did it fail?
On multiple fronts, while there will be a very detailed inquiry, all the electronic intelligence, all the signal intelligence apparatus, all the cameras that have been deployed all along the border, and we have seen this on ground because we've reported from Israel even in the past, all of that was meant for a particular purpose. Their apprehension was, if at all there is something, there will be infiltration in this part. There will not be an attack or a war-like attack. Again, you see major military vehicles move, and these are all officers and men with their weapons cocked. These big vehicles, they're moving tanks, they're moving armored personal carriers right to the front lines. So these are major tank carriers that are now in operation in this part of Sderot, in the southern part of Israel. But they were absolutely overwhelmed. The manner in which the Hamas terrorists managed to get bulldozers and earth movers, so the amount of planning it took to break the fence and for vehicles to be ready, hundreds of vehicles with hundreds of fighters plus terrorists on their motorcycles right behind them, and the distance is so negligible. The distance is absolutely negligible. Let me try and show you that distance or the lack of it. So this is the Israel border, and just beyond that is where the Gaza Strip is. So that open land, and then the fence, and then beyond that is the Gaza Strip. So that is all that The distance that exists in some places as the crow flies, it's just about a kilometer, kilometer and a half in some places, 2 kilometers, 5 kilometers, but not more than that. So by the time Israel could wake up to the threat, realize what was happening, remember there was a festival, everyone was enjoying the festivities, very few people deployed on duty. While all of that was happening, this attack took place, and as this attack took place, Sidrot where we are, so they come in through this fence, they break open this, take this road, right, the one behind me, and that is Sidrot right behind me, and they went firing indiscriminately, firing through the streets, firing through the lanes and by lanes of this area, and then they went into control of the police station. So there were massive casualties here, and again it was here in Sidrot that they took a lot of hostages, because they just yanked them, put them in their vehicles and drove back the same way. So before people could even wake up to the level of the threat, they had already planned, done the damage and gone back. Now that all of that has happened, look at the security that's been deployed. Look at the multi-tier security that you see all along. So we were right at the front lines. Now, again, since those terrorists came on motorcycles and they were swift, so that you see another bomb go off. There are many motorcycles and motorcycle-borne security personnel here. Ambulances already deployed, other vehicles already deployed. This, of course, is a resting camp. Behind this is the army camp. You can hear the drones on top. So this is like an absolute war zone. And Sidrot is the place that nobody had access to, because till yesterday they were stopping everyone from coming here because operations were still happening in house-to-house clearance. Even today, in pockets of Sidrot, house-to-house clearance is still happening. But India today, we came with a group, that had clearances, and we came in just with the army. Just as the army was moving in into some of these areas, we moved in with them, and we are just a step behind them. They clear an area, they move forward, we move forward with them. Though we are not traveling officially with the army, we are entirely on our own here, but this is where you see how operations are being conducted first-hand, live and exclusive. You're watching that on India Today.
Absolutely. Gaurav Sawant there reporting from the front line. This is where it happened, that terror attack by the Hamas on Saturday morning, which shocked Israel as a nation. Gaurav Sawant is at the front line there reporting fearlessly. Gaurav, stay safe. Thank you so much for joining us live from Israel. This is also a report that Gaurav, my colleague, filed earlier.
दक्षिणी इजराइल का सिड्रोट इलाका, यहाँ पर अभी भी हमास के आतंकवादियों के कुछ पॉकेट्स में छिपे होने का डर है, और इसीलिए इस इलाके को अभी तक जनता के लिए खोला नहीं गया है। अगर आप ठीक पूरे पीछे देखें तो यहाँ पर पुलिस की कई टीमें अभी भी तैनात हैं, जो बिल्डिंग इंटरवेंशन यानी एक के बाद एक यहाँ पर तमाम बिल्डिंग्स को क्लियर कर रही है। उनके बिल्डिंग क्लियरेंस ऑपरेशंस के बाद ही यहाँ पर सिविलियंस को आने की इजाज़त दी जाएगी। आप इस ओर नज़र दौड़ाइए, पुलिस की एक गाड़ी यहाँ, पुलिस की एक गाड़ी यहाँ पर, और सेना की गाड़ियाँ यहाँ पर। पूरा प्रयास यही है कि जल्द से जल्द अब यहाँ पर अगर हमास के आतंकवादी किसी पॉकेट में छिपे हैं, किसी बिल्डिंग में छिपे हैं, किसी नुक्कड़ पे, किसी छत पर, घर की छत पर या फिर किसी कमरे में, तो एक एक कमरे को खाली कराया जा रहा है। ये वो इलाका है जहाँ सबसे ज़्यादा असर था हमास के आतंकवादियों का दक्षिणी इजराइल में। घरों में घुसकर यहाँ लोगों को मौत के घाट उतारा था। ठीक मेरे पीछे ये पुलिस स्टेशन है जिसे निशाना बनाया गया था। मैं यहाँ पर दिखाना चाहता हूँ किस तरह का नुकसान हमास के आतंकवादियों ने यहाँ पर इस पूरे क्षेत्र में पहुँचाया था। यहाँ पर एक एक घर को तबाह किया गया, घरों को आग लगा दी गई, पुलिस स्टेशन में 10-12 लोगों को मार दिया गया। तो ये यहाँ की स्थिति है। अभी भी इस इलाके में पुलिस स्टेशन में से लोगों के शव निकलकर बाहर आ रहे हैं। तो 1200 लोग मारे जा चुके हैं अब तक इजराइल में हमास के उस आतंक पर। और अभी भी डर इस बात का है, अंदेशा इस बात का है कि और लोगों की भी जान जा सकती है। एक एक घर को, एक एक बिल्डिंग को, और ये बड़ा शहर है, हजारों की यहाँ आबादी है। आप नुकसान देख सकते हैं, लेकिन पूरी कोशिश अब यहाँ ये है कि एक एक घर को खाली कराकर, खाली घर को देखकर जब एक बार ये तय हो जाए कि अब यहाँ हमास के आतंकवादी नहीं है, तो उसके बाद ही लोग अपने घरों में घुसेंगे। ये गाजा पट्टी से बहुत ज़्यादा दूर का इलाका नहीं है, तो ये रॉकेट फायर की भी बिल्कुल लाइन ऑफ फायर में आता है। इसीलिए यहाँ पर लोगों की चुनौती, सेना की चुनौती और पुलिस की चुनौती बहुत ज़्यादा है। अब कांटेदार तार जहां पर गाजा पट्टी पर फेंस थी वहां पर टैंक और बख्तरबंद गाड़ियां लगा दिए गए हैं। अब और फ्रेश इन्फिल्ट्रेशन का डर इस भाग में तो नहीं है, लेकिन सभी आतंकवादियों को पहले मार दिया जाएगा। जकीम के इलाके में कल भी 4 आतंकवादी मारे गए थे, वो यहाँ से बहुत पास का इलाका है। सिड्रोट में अभी तक लोगों को आने की इजाज़त नहीं है, लेकिन अब पूरी कोशिश हम लोगों की भी यही है। ये आपको पूरा हम दिखाने का प्रयास करते हैं कि कैसे ये बिल्कुल खाली सुनसान पड़ा है ये इलाका, सड़कों पर कोई भी नहीं है। इस पूरे इलाके में लोग धीरे धीरे अब अपने घरों में आने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। तो अब पूरा प्रयास यही है प्रशासन का कि सिड्रोट जैसे इलाके भी अब ऑल क्लियर हो जाए और उसके बाद गाजा पट्टी पर इजराइल की सेना का वो बड़ा ग्राउंड ऑपरेशन शुरू होगा। तैयारी पूरी तरफ से अब उसी की है। और ये तस्वीरें देखिए, ये सिड्रोट शहर की तस्वीरें हैं। बिल्कुल सुनसान पड़ा है ये सिड्रोट शहर और एक व्यक्ति आपको कहीं नहीं दिख रहा है, ना किसी घर में ना सड़कों पर। और यहाँ तनाव बहुत ज़्यादा लगातार बढ़ता जा रहा है, लेकिन खतरा अभी भी बरकरार है। ये पुलिस की टीमें और कंस्ट्रक्शन की टीमें यहाँ पर इलाकों को खाली करा रही हैं। वो आप देख भी सकते हैं कि सेना की टुकड़ियाँ घर खाली करा रही हैं। और अभी अभी यहाँ पर हमास के रॉकेट्स अभी ऊपर आ रहे हैं और आयरन डोम सिस्टम यहाँ पर आ रहा है। अभी हम लोग बिल्कुल भागने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। एक मिनट, we are trying to run to our shelter. I have to get एक यहाँ पर हमास के रॉकेट यहाँ पर आ रहे हैं। डोम सिस्टम यहाँ एक्टिवेट हो रहा है और हम बिल्कुल जल्दी से यहाँ पर बॉम्ब शेल्टर के अंदर, यहाँ पर इस समय स्थिति है कि हम बॉम्ब शेल्टर के अंदर है और ये दरवाजा बंद करने की जरूरत है। लेकिन सिचुएशन यहाँ पर ये है, Iron Dome, that boom.
Yeah, this boom. This area protection from the boom come from Gaza boom, you know.
Gaza.
Israel have something in them. I don't know English. I will say, but kipat barzel. If the bomb from Gaza come like here, Israel make something. It come from here, and the iron make boom, you know.
तो आयरन डोम सिस्टम जो है इजराइल का, वो अब इन रॉकेट्स को ध्वस्त करेगा। लेकिन आप ये सोचिए कि अभी भी सिड्रोट में आज तक की टीम मौजूद है और अभी भी हमास उस स्थिति में है कि वो सिड्रोट को, एश्कलोन को, इन सभी इलाकों को निशाना बना सकता है। गौरव सावंत, सिड्रोट, दक्षिणी इजराइल।
My colleague Ashutosh Mishra is also reporting from southern Israel. Let's try and understand the ground situation there from Ashutosh.
फाइटर जेट ठीक मेरे ऊपर से गुजर रहे हैं और मैं उनकी आवाज़ सुन पा रहा हूँ। लगभग 9:30 बजे से जो आज सुबह का पहला राउंड है एस्केलेशन का, वो शुरू हुआ है। लेकिन सईद, दरअसल स्थिति ऐसा भी नहीं है कि इजराइल को नुकसान नहीं हुआ है, और वो नुकसान किस कदर का है और हमास का हमला कैसा है, ये तस्वीरें देखकर रोंगटे खड़े हो जाएंगे। इससे पहले मैं आपको वो रॉकेट दिखाऊँ जो मेरे सामने इस समय रखा है अपने तमाम दर्शकों को। मैं आपको सबसे पहले उस घर में ले चलता हूँ जहाँ पर रॉकेट गिरा था सुबह 6 बजे। पूरा परिवार, और एक पुलिसकर्मी का घर है, पूरा परिवार यहाँ सो रहा था और अचानक सुबह 6 बजे रॉकेट गिरता है। सब आवाज़ से दहले, डरे और बस यहाँ से भागकर जान बचाई। दरअसल जो दंपत्ति था, ये पुलिस वाले का घर है, वो यहाँ थे और रॉकेट जो है वो इस कमरे की बाहरी दीवार लगभग 1 फीट से ज़्यादा ऊंची, मोटी। और इजराइल में घर बनाने की टेक्नोलॉजी ऐसी है, दरअसल सरकार का आदेश है कि उन घरों में जिस खास तकनीक से ही बनेंगे जिसमें सीमेंट और कंक्रीट के साथ साथ लोहे का काम बहुत मजबूत होता है दीवारों में भी, कि वो इसीलिए बनाए जाते हैं कि आप इस हमला झेल सकें। हमास ने बर्बरता ऐसी दिखाई। देखिए पुलिस वाले का घर, ये बच्चे का कमरा है। बच्चे यहाँ पर सो रहे थे और उनको लेकर के ये जो महिला है ये अपने बच्चों को लेकर के भागी। ये वो दंपत्ति है, पुलिसकर्मी है, वो बस अब अपने घर का ज़रूरी सामान यहाँ से निकाल के बस जाने की कोशिश में है, कुछ बचा सके। इस घर के हिस्से में नुकसान हुआ और रॉकेट गिरा, वो गिरा इस कमरे में। ये देखिए, ये जो आप छेद देख पा रहे हैं, ये जो बड़ा हिस्सा है, दरअसल रॉकेट यहाँ गिरा है। अब इससे आप अंदाज़ा लगा सकते हैं कि इतनी दीवार पर। लेकिन अब आपको वो दिखाता हूँ जिसको देख करके यकीन नहीं होगा। ये देखिए, ये जो आप सामने टुकड़ा रखे हैं, ये है वो रॉकेट जो दरअसल आया हमास की ओर से। इसकी लंबाई देखिए, यही वो रॉकेट है, लगभग 1.5 फुट लंबा, जिसका अब ये खाली शेल है, लेकिन ये खाली शेल भी मैं उठा नहीं सकता। और ये रॉकेट जब घर में गिरा, इसने इस तरह की तबाही मचा। आप समझिए कि किस तरह की क्षमता हमास की है कि जो इतने बड़े बड़े रॉकेट वो इस्तेमाल कर रहा है और इससे नुकसान पहुंचा रहा है। और ये देखिए नुकसान भी कैसा है, उसकी क्षमता देखिए कि ये पूरी जो दीवार है 1.5 फीट चौड़ी, इस पूरी दीवार को उसने भेद दिया था पूरे घर को। और ये देखिए ऊपर तक नुकसान, ऊपर 3 से 4 मंजिला तक नुकसान हुआ है लोगों का। ये पूरा जो इलाका है वो तहस नहस हो चुका है। मजबूत इमारतें भी इसकी चपेट में आने से नहीं बच पाई।
So that was, of course, my colleague Ashutosh Mishra explaining basically the aftermath of the attack by Hamas in Israeli territory. Various images that we're showing to you on our screens right now of how Hamas tried to pulverize Israel, at least the southern part of Israel, but Israel has hit back and has hit back hard. So this is how Israel now is trying to break Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Fighter jets are being used by Israel to pound the Gaza Strip. That's happening from the east. There are also tanks that are being moved in from the east and the north of Israel. Also, missile ships, helicopter gunships smash naval targets. Remember, Hamas used the sea route as well to infiltrate into Israeli territory. Now, this is happening in the west. So, at various ends, Israel is in fact trying to pulverize and pound Hamas into oblivion. We're slipping into a very short break. Coming up next, US sends weapons and ammunition to Israel on cargo plane. 2 aircraft carriers deployed at the Mediterranean Sea for counter-attack on Hamas. Those details on the other side of this break.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company. You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Get ready for an immersive journey into the heart of news, politics, and insights that matter. Join India Today now on WhatsApp. Scan the QR code.
Air quality today. In Delhi, 163. In Mumbai, 58. In Kolkata, 153. In Bangalore, 35. In Chennai, 149. In Hyderabad, 82.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com. You are watching India Today, Powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Air quality today. In Delhi, 163. In Mumbai, 58. In Kolkata, 153. In Bangalore, 35. In Chennai, 149. In Hyderabad, 82.
Public health. All political parties traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold, and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
You are watching India Today. Powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
And here are the top images coming in from Israel and Gaza amid the ongoing war. Israeli forces bombed areas which were being used by Hamas terrorists to attack. The hideouts were attacked with artillery fire from missile ships, helicopter gunships, and artillery batteries from land by Israel. Aerial images filmed with a drone show the destruction in Gaza City as Israel continues to pound Hamas targets in Gaza. The latest round of violence has been deadly for civilians on both sides of this conflict. As the Israeli government tried to determine how many of their citizens were dead, missing, or in hostage, Hamas terrorists released footage where they had captured a family with kids and live streamed them on Facebook, forcing them to speak to their country. IDF released an exclusive footage from the scene of the massacre in southern Israel. IDF officer shows the horrors committed by Hamas. Navy, Air Force and artillery forces attacked naval targets of the terrorist organization Hamas. A diver who tried to penetrate Israeli territory was killed. Israel's Iron Dome was seen from Ashkelon intercepting incoming rockets. Rockets fired by Hamas terrorists were filmed trailing through the sky above Gaza. Amid war, a show of unity with Israeli flags and applause, an entire Israeli neighborhood gathered on their balconies to sing Hatikwa, their national anthem in support of the armed forces and the nation at large. Israeli airstrikes pounded the Islamic University of Gaza as fierce fighting between Palestinian militant group Hamas and Israeli army continues. According to Israeli forces, the university was being used as a training institution for the development and production of weapons. Support continues to grow for Israel following Hamas's deadly attack. Let's take you through some of those defining images. London's House of Parliament was lit up with white and blue colours as a symbolic gesture of solidarity with Israel. This acts of support come 2 days after Hamas launched a surprise attack on Israel. Thousands of people flocked to Manhattan's east side near the United Nations on Tuesday evening to show their support for Israel as the war rages on overseas. A massive crowd stood shoulder to shoulder in a march in Buenos Aires in support of Israel following the deadly terror attacks carried out by the Islamist group Hamas. Carrying candles in hand, thousands of people gathered at Rome in solidarity with Israel after an attack by Hamas militants which left more than 1,200 Israelis dead. The Federation of Jewish Communities of Spain, along with many other Jewish and non-Jewish organizations in Spain, called for a rally in solidarity and support for Israel. In Pakistan, protesters gathered at a rally in the country's biggest city to express solidarity with the Palestinian people. Dozens of angry protesters set fire to the flag of Israel in POK's Muzaffarabad. Hundreds of Bangladeshi supporters took to the streets in Dhaka showing solidarity with Palestinians as Israeli warplanes hammered the tiny sealed-off territory, reducing buildings to rubble in Gaza. Pro-Palestinian supporters in Brazil rallied to show their solidarity with Palestinians. Palestinians in Brazil took part in a protest in Brasilia, called on the international community as well to stop the conflict in the Middle East. Indonesians rallied in front of the US Embassy and the UN headquarters in Jakarta in support of Palestinians and calling for peace in the Middle East following the weekend's attack between Israel and Hamas militants. Activists and members of the Palestinian community took part in protests in Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo in support of the Palestinian people. The protesters protested against the bombardment of Gaza by Israeli forces. In one of the blood-curdling details from the Hamas attack on Israel, at least 40 babies were killed by the terror group. Israel-based I-24 News has reported Israeli soldiers claim they found babies with their heads cut off, entire families gunned down in their beds. About 40 babies and young children have been beheaded, I-24 News has reported. Israeli Defense Minister who visited the troops on ground told them to eliminate Hamas terrorists who beheaded innocent children without mercy. As both sides count the deaths, Israeli death toll touches 1,200 while over 2,700 have been wounded. Hamas continues to target Israeli civilians. Hamas has declared it will begin live televised killings of hostages for every building bombarded in Gaza, inspired by ISIS killings.
It's not a war. It's not a battlefield. You see the babies, the mother, the fathers in their bedrooms, in their protection rooms, and how the terrorists kill them. It's not a war. It's not a battlefield. It's a massacre. It's a terror activity. So you can look it on yourself. It's something that I never saw in my life. It's something that we used to imagine as our grandfather and grandmother in the pogrom in Europe and other places. It's not something that happened in the new history, in the near history.
All right, there is the security team over here, combat soldiers, opening the houses, just looking for another, looking for another terrorist, maybe, if there is. After that, I'm a search and rescue unit. We're going to salvage what's left, unfortunately.
We walk door after door. We kill a lot of the terrorists. We're stronger than them. They are aggressive. They are very bad. They cut head of children, cut head of women. But we are stronger than them.
עזה לא תחזור להיות מה שהייתה וחמאס לא יהיה. Those who behead children, burn women, and kill Holocaust survivors will be deleted. The clear message and full support I conveyed today to our dear fighters at the Gaza border. Kidnapping, torturing, and murdering children, women, and elderly isn't human. There's no justification. Hamas became ISIS, and the citizens of Gaza are celebrating instead of being horrified. Hamas beasts are being dealt with accordingly. Israel has imposed a total blockade on Gaza. You wanted hell, you will get hell.
Reporter Nicole Zedek, I-24 News correspondent, reported live from Kibbutz Far near Sderot, some 400 meters from the Gaza Strip. Take a look at this report.
David, it's hard to even explain exactly just the mass casualties that happened right here. In fact, the Israeli military says they still don't have a clear number, but I'm talking to some of the soldiers and they say what they've witnessed as they've been walking through these different houses, these different communities, babies, their heads cut off. That's what they said. Gunned down, families completely gunned down in their beds. You can see some of these soldiers right now comforting each other. Many of them reserves who jumped into action, leaving their own families behind as well, not knowing the sheer horror that they were about to come to. They say they've never experienced anything like this. This is nothing that anyone could have even imagined when you're walking through here. Baby cribs thrown to the side. Doors thrown wide open. Still some Israeli bodies still here because the fighting in this community just ended just recently. So many of these troops are still going house to house, door to door. It's taken them sometimes 30 minutes, 40 minutes because many of these houses are also still have grenades in them, booby traps. In fact, as we're trying to get closer to some of these scenes, we're being told, no, get back from some of these Israeli military because there are still grenades in the area. I want us to keep walking through, continue to kind of see the destruction that's happening on the ground here. Even something as simple as a soccer net just left to the side here as people were with their families playing. I see in the distance more bodies being covered. All the while as they're covering these Israeli bodies trying to evacuate everyone else from the territory, taking all of the casualties out of here. It's also littered with the bodies of terrorists. So we're hearing from one of the lead commanders here. It was anywhere from maybe 70 armed terrorists who made their way here from the Gaza border fence, which is less than a quarter of a mile away. And as I said, the atrocities that they committed, violence with guns, with grenades, with knives, targeting these innocent civilians inside their homes. So for the soldiers here, it's a very, very difficult scene for them as well. As I said, leaving their families behind, but they say they will continue to be here, continue to kill every terrorist who is in the area. You can hear we're very, very close to the Gaza Strip, so we continue to hear artillery firing overhead as well. Even as we were giving this tour, we were told to get on the ground and take cover because you're so close to the Strip right now, you don't even get the red alert. You actually hear the boom before you're even told to get to the ground. So this is the reality, and this is what all of these soldiers, you can see, none of them expecting this, but all of them being here, ready for the fight nonetheless, and proud to fight for their country is what I'm hearing as well. And so that's why they want to show the press, they want to show these very, very difficult images, David, but they want everyone out here because they want to see and show exactly what is happening here on the ground.
An extremely blood-curdling report that here's a sense of the Hamas leadership, the Palestinian Islamist terrorist group. Ismail Haniyeh, he is the chairman. His location is Qatar. Saleh al-Aruri, he's the deputy chairman of Hamas. His location is said to be Egypt or Gaza. It's not very clear. Mohammed the Guest Dave, Hamas military wing chief. He is the military wing chief. His location, unknown. Marwan Issa, Hamas's military wing deputy chief, his location is said to be the West Bank. And Fauzi Barhoum, who is the chief spokesperson of Hamas, his location is likely to be Gaza Strip.
are watching India Today, powered by Finest. Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company. You are watching India Today, powered by Finest. Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 36 and minimum 24 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 33 and minimum 26 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 35 and minimum 26 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 27 and minimum 22 degrees. Chennai, maximum 33 and minimum 27 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 32 and minimum 22 degrees.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest. Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 36 and minimum 24 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 33 and minimum 26 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 35 and minimum 26 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 27 and minimum 22 degrees. Chennai, maximum 33 and minimum 27 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 32 and minimum 22 degrees.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com. You are watching India Today, powered by Finest. Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Hello there, very good afternoon. You're watching India Today TV. I'm Sneha Mordani. A quick check of the top stories in this edition first. Israel escalates offensive over Gaza. Over 2,500 terror targets struck. Gaza sole power plant to run out of fuel within 10 to 12 hours. Chilling report reveals that Hamas terrorists beheaded over 40 babies. Hamas using babies as weapons of war is an allegation there. Israel's advisory over hostage video. Israel warns of Hamas torture, says shield minors from distress videos. US sends weapons and ammunition to Israel on cargo plane. 2 aircraft carriers deployed at the Mediterranean Sea for counter-attack on Hamas. From Israel to Lebanon to Jerusalem, the most extensive war coverage on India Today. India Today reports without fear from war zone.
Terror the Hamas is unleashing constantly in the close proximity of this area. Also, if you see the massive damage to the public assets, public properties are being done by the Hamas, though the security personnel are also around. But every time the noise and explosions are heard, there is always a threat.
India's most wanted terrorist killed in Pakistan. Jaish terrorist Shahid Latif plotted Kokernag attack and was the mastermind of the 2016 Pathankot attack. The Israel-Hamas war is only escalating as Israel air attacks on Hamas-controlled Gaza continue. Tel Aviv has hinted at a possible ground assault in response to the deadly Hamas attack. This announcement has fueled the speculations over Israel's plans of full-scale ground invasion of Gaza. IDF has already bombed multiple naval targets of Hamas terrorists. They even targeted Gaza port using warplanes where Hamas terrorists made their hideouts. Amid the exchange of rockets and bombs between the two countries, dramatic drone footage shows aftermath of Israel attacks on Al-Rimal district in Gaza. Israel forces even bombed the Islamic University of Gaza. On the other hand, pro-Hamas groups have accused Israel of using white phosphorus over civilians. Remember, use of white phosphorus on civilians is a war crime.
Now, you may have seen footage on TV or on social media. And you may see a building standing and then flashes and then the building collapses. And you say to yourself, well, that looks very much like a civilian building. What I want to tell you is that no, that isn't a civilian building. It is a legitimate military target. And why is that? Because Hamas locates all of their offices, headquarters, their research and development, and all of their other military assets, if it's above ground, they locate themselves in civilian buildings. And Hamas, being the cowards that they are,
מחבלי חמאס אין להם מקום שיוכלו לנוס בו ברצועת עזה, אנחנו נגיע להם בכל מקום.
We are moving in right now. There are dead bodies everywhere. The ground is burned. There are crashed cars. You can see in the bus station the clothes of the people taken by the terrorists. Right across the street, a completely destroyed house. You can see around me cars parked, absolutely destroyed. Right behind me there is the breach in the fence from which the terrorists came through. The terrorists came into the village and burnt down everything in sight. Trucks used to get supplies to the people who live here. This is a house that was completely burnt down by terrorists. There's a siren that sounded right now. We're taking cover. There's been another siren. We've been instructed to stay down.
और ये तस्वीरें देखिए, ये सिड्रोट शहर की तस्वीरें हैं। बिल्कुल सुनसान पड़ा है ये सिड्रोट शहर और एक व्यक्ति आपको कहीं नहीं दिख रहा है, ना किसी घर में, ना सड़कों पर। और यहाँ तनाव बहुत ज़्यादा लगातार बढ़ता जा रहा है, लेकिन खतरा अभी भी बरकरार है। ये पुलिस की टीमें और कंस्ट्रक्शन की टीमें यहाँ पर इलाकों को खाली करा रही हैं। वो आप देख भी सकते हैं कि सेना की टुकड़ियाँ घर खाली करा रही हैं। और अभी यहाँ पर हमास के रॉकेट्स अभी ऊपर आ रहे हैं और आयरन डोम सिस्टम यहाँ पर आ रहा है। अभी हम लोग बिल्कुल भागने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। एक मिनट, we are trying to run to a shelter. I have to get यहाँ पर हमास के रॉकेट यहाँ पर आ रहे हैं। डोम सिस्टम यहाँ एक्टिवेट हो रहा है और हम बिल्कुल जल्दी से यहाँ पर बॉम्ब शेल्टर के अंदर, यहाँ पर इस समय स्थिति है कि हम बॉम्ब शेल्टर के अंदर है और ये दरवाजा बंद करने की जरूरत है, लेकिन सिचुएशन यहाँ पर ये है, Iron Dome, that boom boom.
Yeah, this boom. This area protection from the boom come from Gaza boom, you know.
Gaza.
Israel have something in them. I don't know English. How we say, but kipat barzel. If the bomb from Gaza come like here, Israel make something. It come from here, and the iron make boom, you know.
तो आयरन डोम सिस्टम जो है इजराइल का, वो अब इन रॉकेट्स को ध्वस्त करेगा। लेकिन आप ये सोचिए कि अभी भी सिडरोट में आज तक की टीम मौजूद है और अभी भी हमास उस स्थिति में है कि वो सिडरोट को, एश्केलोन को, इन सभी इलाकों को निशाना बना सकता है। गौरव सावंत, सिडरोट, दक्षिणी इसराइल का सिडरोट इलाका, यहाँ पर अभी भी हमास के आतंकवादियों के कुछ पॉकेट्स में छिपे होने का डर है और इसीलिए इस इलाके को अभी तक जनता के लिए खोला नहीं गया है। अगर आप ठीक मेरे पीछे देखें तो यहाँ पर पुलिस की कई टीमें अभी भी तैनात हैं जो बिल्डिंग इंटरवेंशन यानी एक के बाद एक यहाँ पर तमाम बिल्डिंग्स को क्लियर कर रही है। उनके बिल्डिंग क्लियरेंस ऑपरेशंस के बाद ही यहाँ पर सिविलियंस को आने की इजाज़त दी जाएगी। आप इस ओर नज़र दौड़ाइए, पुलिस की एक गाड़ी यहाँ, पुलिस की एक गाड़ी यहाँ पर और सेना की गाड़ियाँ यहाँ पर। पूरा प्रयास यही है कि जल्द से जल्द अब यहाँ पर अगर हमास के आतंकवादी किसी पॉकेट में छिपे हैं, किसी बिल्डिंग में छिपे हैं, किसी नुक्कड़ पे, किसी छत पर, घर की छत पर या फिर किसी कमरे में, तो एक एक कमरे को खाली कराया जा रहा है। ये वो इलाका है जहाँ सबसे ज़्यादा असर था हमास के आतंकवादियों का दक्षिणी इसराइल में। घरों में घुसकर यहाँ लोगों को मौत के घाट उतारा था। ठीक मेरे पीछे ये पुलिस स्टेशन है जिसे निशाना बनाया गया है। दिखाना चाहता हूँ किस तरह का नुकसान हमास के आतंकवादियों ने यहाँ पर पूरे क्षेत्र में पहुँचाया था। यहाँ पर एक एक घर को तबाह किया गया, घरों को आग लगा दी गई, पुलिस स्टेशन में 10-12 लोगों को मार दिया गया। तो ये यहाँ की स्थिति है। अभी भी इस इलाके में पुलिस स्टेशन में से लोगों के शव निकलकर बाहर आ रहे हैं। तो 1200 लोग मारे जा चुके हैं अब तक इसराइल में हमास के उस आतंक में, और अभी भी डर इस बात का है, अंदेशा इस बात का है कि और लोगों की भी जान जा सकती है। एक एक घर को, एक एक बिल्डिंग को, और ये बड़ा शहर है, हज़ारों की यहाँ आबादी है। आप नुकसान देख सकते हैं, लेकिन पूरी कोशिश अब यहाँ ये है कि एक एक घर को खाली कराकर, खाली घर को देखकर जब एक बार ये तय हो जाए कि अब यहाँ हमास के आतंकवादी नहीं है, तो उसके बाद ही लोग अपने घरों में घुसेंगे। ये गाजा पट्टी से बहुत ज़्यादा दूर का इलाका नहीं है, तो ये रॉकेट फायर की भी बिल्कुल लाइन ऑफ फायर में आता है। इसीलिए यहाँ पर लोगों की चुनौती, सेना की चुनौती और पुलिस की चुनौती बहुत ज़्यादा है। अब कांटेदार तार जहां पर गाजा पट्टी पर फेंस थी, वहां पर टैंक और बख्तरबंद गाड़ियां लगा दिए गए हैं। अब और फ्रेश इन्फिल्ट्रेशन का डर इस भाग में तो नहीं है, लेकिन सभी आतंकवादियों को पहले मार दिया जाएगा। जकीम के इलाके में कल भी 4 आतंकवादी मारे गए थे, वो यहां से बहुत पास का इलाका है। सिडरोट में अभी तक लोगों को आने की इजाज़त नहीं है, लेकिन अब पूरी कोशिश हम लोगों की भी यही है। ये आपको पूरा हम दिखाने का प्रयास करते हैं कि कैसे ये बिल्कुल खाली सुनसान पड़ा है ये इलाका। सड़कों पर कोई भी नहीं है इस पूरे इलाके में। लोग धीरे धीरे अब अपने घरों में आने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। तो अब पूरा प्रयास यही है प्रशासन का कि सिडरोट जैसे इलाके भी अब ऑल क्लियर हो जाए और उसके बाद गाजा पट्टी पर इजराइल की सेना का वो बड़ा ग्राउंड ऑपरेशन शुरू होगा। तैयारी पूरी तरफ से अब उसी की है।
My colleague Ashutosh Mishra is also on ground zero, getting us up to speed with all developments there. This is a report that he sent us from South Israel. Let's try and get a sense of the ground situation.
फाइटर जेट ठीक मेरे ऊपर से गुजर रहे हैं और मैं उनकी आवाज़ सुन पा रहा हूँ। लगभग 9:30 बजे से जो आज सुबह का पहला राउंड है एस्केलेशन का वो शुरू हुआ है, लेकिन सईद दरअसल स्थिति ऐसा भी नहीं है कि इजराइल को नुकसान नहीं हुआ है, और वो नुकसान किस कदर का है और हमास का हमला कैसा है ये तस्वीरें देखकर रोंगटे खड़े हो जाएंगे। इससे पहले मैं आपको वो रॉकेट दिखाऊँ जो मेरे सामने इस समय रखा है अपने तमाम दर्शकों को। मैं आपको सबसे पहले उस घर में ले चलता हूँ जहाँ पर रॉकेट गिरा था सुबह 6 बजे। पूरा परिवार, और एक पुलिसकर्मी का घर है, पूरा परिवार यहाँ सो रहा था और अचानक सुबह 6 बजे रॉकेट गिरता है। सब आवाज़ से दहले, डरे और बस भाग यहाँ से भागकर जान बचाई। दरअसल जो दंपत्ति था, ये पुलिस वाले का घर है, वो यहाँ थे और रॉकेट जो है वो इस कमरे की बाहरी दीवार पर, दीवार लगभग 1 फीट से ज़्यादा ऊंची, मोटी, और इजराइल में घर बनाने की टेक्नोलॉजी ऐसी है, दरअसल सरकार का आदेश है कि उन घरों में जिस खास तकनीक से ही बनेंगे जिसमें सीमेंट और कंक्रीट के साथ साथ लोहे का काम बहुत मजबूत होता है दीवारों में भी, कि वो इसीलिए बनाए जाते हैं कि आप इस हमला झेल सके। हमास ने बर्बरता ऐसी दिखाई। देखिए पुलिस वाले का घर, ये बच्चे का कमरा है, बच्चे यहाँ पर सो रहे थे और उनको लेकर के ये जो महिला है ये अपने बच्चों को लेकर के भागी। ये वो दंपत्ति है, पुलिसकर्मी है, वो बस अब अपने घर का जरूरी सामान यहाँ से निकाल के बस जाने की कोशिश में है, कुछ बचा सके। इस घर के हिस्से में नुकसान हुआ और रॉकेट गिरा, वो गिरा इस कमरे में। ये देखिए, ये जो आप छेद देख पा रहे हैं, ये जो बड़ा हिस्सा है, दरअसल रॉकेट यहाँ गिरा है। अब इससे आप अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं कि इतनी दीवार पर, लेकिन अब आपको वो दिखाता हूँ जिसको देख करके यकीन नहीं होगा। ये देखिए, ये जो आप सामने टुकड़ा रखे हैं, ये है वो रॉकेट जो दरअसल आया हमास की ओर से। इसकी लंबाई देखिए, यही वो रॉकेट है, लगभग 1.5 फुट लंबा, जिसका अब ये खाली शेल है, लेकिन ये खाली शेल भी मैं उठा नहीं सकता। और ये रॉकेट जब घर में गिरा, इसने इस तरह की तबाही मचा। आप समझिए कि किस तरह की क्षमता हमास की है कि जो इतने बड़े बड़े रॉकेट वो इस्तेमाल कर रहा है और इससे नुकसान पहुंचा रहा है। और ये देखिए नुकसान भी कैसा है, उसकी क्षमता देखिए कि ये पूरी जो दीवार है 1.5 फीट चौड़ी, इस पूरी दीवार को उसने भेद दिया था, पूरे घर को। और ये देखिए ऊपर तक नुकसान, ऊपर 3 से 4 मंजिला तक नुकसान हुआ है लोगों का। ये पूरा जो इलाका है वो तहस नहस हो चुका है। मजबूत इमारतें भी इसकी चपेट में आने से नहीं बच पाई।
All right, now let's take a look at these details as far as Israel's invasion of Gaza is concerned. Fighter jets have been pounding this particular region. Now, from the east, tanks move in. Essentially, missile ships, helicopter, gunships smash the naval targets, which then become extremely crucial. This in the west side as well. As airstrikes continue on the side of the Gaza Strip, essentially from Israel, the ordinary are paying the price. Gaza is running out of basic supplies as Israel has cut off electricity, food and water supply. As per Gaza Energy Authority, the Gaza power plant has only 3 lakh litres of diesel fuel left, which means just enough for 10 to 12 hours. It's a massive humanitarian crisis in the making. Meanwhile, Israeli residents have been asked to stock up on supplies for the next 3 days and prepare safe rooms. Israeli forces have urged civilians in Gaza Strip to head to Egypt, but the border with Egypt is also closed. According to the UN, nearly 1 lakh people are displaced across the Gaza Strip. The number could increase. People continue to suffer, attacks continue. Over 900 have been killed, 4,500 wounded, and nearly 1,80,000 have been left homeless. In the latest, as Israeli airstrike reportedly killed the wife and child of Hamas top military commander, Mohammed Deif.
Perfect.